Tested album. It's so good.
It's not good. Oh my god. She's killing music. It didn't even make the charts, dude. I'm telling you. That's
Who cares about the charts? Her lyricism is amazing, bro.
No, it's not. It's literally for toddlers who haven't even gotten out of kindergarten yet. It's just the alphabet. She's just saying the alphabet. She's never made a good album in her life.
It seems like you guys need to take a trip down to Argumentation Nation.
Hello and welcome to Argumentation Nation. We're so glad to have us with you here. I'm James Eckersell and I'll be your host for today. Now before we get into our main program, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the basics of classical argumentation. Now there are three main parts: ethos, pathos, and logos. The first main part, ethos, is the appeal to credibility. For example, you would trust your doctor to give you an accurate diagnosis because he's gone to medical school and he has the correct certifications. For pathos, this would be an example of a musician writing lyrics in a song to make you feel something when you listen to it. And lastly, the logos. This would be the appeal to logic. For example, a scientist using data to prove or disprove of their hypothesis. Now that you know a little bit about the basics, let's get right into the main meat of our show. Now, did you know that CWI has a speech and debate team? Professor Rowing, the speech and debate coach here, shows us a peek into his world and just how debates ruined him.
I co-coach the speech and debate team, which is COMM 114. I think it's called Intercollegiate Tour Speaking or something like that. And then I also teach COMM 112 Argumentation and Debate. On the team, we do speech and debate. And this class, Argumentation and Debate, should theoretically get students well situated to do the debate side of the team. The whole process of saying, hey, I believe a thing because, you know, it seems simple. It seems like day one type stuff, but often a lot of us are, I believe things. There is no because. And so the because is like finding the evidence and the grounding and the reasoning, learning more about how other people hold positions, even if you don't change your own mind, is to be able to, oh, people are holding contrary positions, and often for good reason. They have a different way of seeing the world and a different way of believing from this evidence we should hold this position, whereas from the same evidence I believe I should hold this position. But sometimes both are reasonable. Debates ruined me. It's ruined me. I still have my convictions and my beliefs. But I also live in a world, and this could also just be age, that the things I believe, I also have a little hesitancy about. And I say to myself, this is what I believe, and I have good reason for believing them, but I might be wrong. And I think maybe when I was first starting instruction, or maybe just being a human, I didn't have that, but I could be wrong. And so one of the things I think debate can offer is just this little bit of an appreciation for the fact that I'm fallible. And that although I might believe something with conviction, there's underneath that just a little bit of, but I could be wrong.
Thank you so much, Professor Rowing, for showing us just how valuable of a skill debating is. Now here's a question. Do you believe in vampires? Here's what Juno and Melody have to say about the topic.
Do you believe in vampires?
What? No way. They're not real.
Yeah, but what if they've existed all along and the government's trying to cover it up?
Why would the government hide vampires from us?
What if the vampires control the government? They wouldn't tell us.
Vampires are not real. End of story.
They absolutely are, dude.
Welcome, audience, to Argumentation Nation. Today's entry, Finding Purpose in Fire. Here we will interview Brendan Davis, an aspiring fireman, but also an argumentation student. Let's see what he has to say about arguing and how that can be useful.
For all my classes, I try to be more practical with what I'm going to use in the real world. So when I go out into the field. I want to be able to take the stuff that I've learned in classes and actually apply it to my job.
Now that he has shared his motivations for argumentation, let's hear how that will impact his everyday life.
I'm going to be working firsthand with people, talking to them all day, every day. I mean, there's going to be people that are frustrating or hard to deal with, and I feel debate would have been most practical to be able to handle it rather than speech.
Next up are some words of him about what he has to say about arguments in potentially his own home.
It's not just arguing to try to prove your point. It's trying to get your beliefs across and try to convince others.
Being an argumenter isn't about yourself. It can prove yourself to be an inspiration to others. What does he have to say about making a good role model about himself? Here it is.
If I'm a husband or a father, I really want to set a good example for kids and people in school. I want to be able to be looked up at, and people see how these people are and see how good they are. I want to be able to do good acts and help others.
That's all we have for Brendan. His wishes, his challenges, how he will tackle them.
All right, looks like we've got that going. We appreciate you, Brendan. Here's to a successful career and many more skillful debates ahead. Well, guys, it's officially December, and Santa is on his way. Or is he?
What I can't wait for?
What?
Christmas. I'm totally gonna catch Santa this year.
That's impossible. Santa's not real.
Santa is totally real.
Ho, ho, ho.
All right, looks like we better be nice instead of naughty for the rest of the year. Now, debate means a lot more than just winning arguments. It's also about coming together and solving problems. Let's go to Rory and see what debate means to him.
Every argument starts with an idea, but for some, it's more than proving who's right. It's about understanding how people think.
Spoke in short on the team. He was asking if people wanted to join and looking for people to show up at a workshop session. And I didn't have anything else going on, so I decided to join. And I fell in love.
That curiosity turned into passion, learning not just how to speak, but how to listen.
There are, to me at least, there are two fundamentally different types. There's competitive and there is problem solving. The competitive style debate is like you're trying to prove a point or win an argument. And the interpersonal style is where you're trying to solve a problem. It's the style that you would use with friends.
For him, debate mirrors logic, structured, focused, and deep.
Logic. In the same way that I enjoy working with computers because they're purely logical. Debate is simply picking and choosing what logic to follow.
Thank you, Rory. And speaking of logic, does it seem logical to believe in ghosts? It might just seem a little more plausible after this.
Dude, do you believe in ghosts?
No, are you crazy? Ghosts aren't real.
Are you sure? You've never just seen a spirit chilling in your house before?
Nope. If you're really seeing that, you should really seek some medical attention.
I'm telling you, dude, I've seen them. Ghosts are real.
Ghosts don't exist. They're a myth.
Whatever, man. Ghosts are real.
The big day is closing in, and we need ideas, cats. Do you have any ideas? Ah!
Hi, I'm Dan from the future. You're probably wondering what's going on here. He's trying to have his class decide on a topic for their project. I already know they're going to choose argumentation. Let's see how he handles this.
Hold up, cats. I know what our topic's going to be about. What's something we use every day without even knowing to communicate and debate?
Argumentation.
That's great. That's great. What's that?
This is past Dan. He did marvelous here in this classroom, moving things along.
Who are you? And why do you look like me?
I'm future Dan.
Oh, I'm in the wrong timeline. I'm Dan from the future.
But I'm already Dan from the future. Who are you?
I'm Dan from the future.
But that's impossible. I'm the only Dan.
There's too many dang Dans. The space-time continuum will collapse.
This time, you're a pumpkin.
Huge shout out to Dan, and Dan for helping make this class a reality. Now, speaking of keeping things real, up next is Sam with just how real argumentation is in our everyday lives. From politics to relationships, you will be surprised at just how truly ubiquitous argumentation is. After that, we'll get to see a live interview with Otter Talk creator Brad Combs, hosted by none other than our very own EJ. This is James signing off, but don't go anywhere just yet. You aren't going to miss what's next, so stay tuned.
Everyday conversations often entail some sort of argument. Nursing student Sam is here to give us the rundown on what argumentation really is and how to approach it correctly.
Arguments actually make up a good majority of conversation. And this makes up a lot of politics, this makes up relationships for the most part. Even in the medical field, every kind of field, there is some kind of discussion with perspectives on how to resolve an issue or how to address something. And so arguments make up a lot of conversation.
When you hear the word argument, you might think about conflict, but it is actually about much more than that.
One of the first things that we learned in argumentation and debate is that argument isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a bad context to it. What argument really is two different perspectives facing the same issue and how to resolve that issue. What a lot of people do wrong in arguments is that they make it a me versus you. What I would advise for people who aren't good at arguing is to listen. There's an issue, right? And because that person doesn't have the same perspective as you, or maybe there's just something going on, you say, oh, well, it's your fault. You're attaching the issue to that person. When you have the mindset that you're working together and you're trying to find the best way to go about this, that's what makes arguments much healthier.
Strong arguments make strong thinkers. Keep questioning, keep supporting your ideas, and keep striving for clarity.
Hey, listen, I don't want to argue this anymore. Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah, truce.
It's getting late. Let's go to the studio film. Check.
Dude, I told you.
Welcome back to Argumentation Nation. My name is EJ Kyle, and today I'm going to be hosting a live interview about our podcast. During this podcast, I will be talking about the process of our podcast and all that came with it from the backstory. And first of all, the guy behind the podcast is ours truly, Brad Combs.
Hello.
Brad, thank you for coming on. If you'd like to, could you tell me and the viewers just a little bit about yourself and what your role was in this show?
Absolutely. I'm a student in this class. Media arts is my major. I've been podcasting as a hobby since 2020. I did what everyone did during COVID and started my own podcast. So got a little bit of experience in the past doing that. So when this class came around, I was asked if I would love to head it up and lead it and do what we can to release some episodes. So myself and another student, Derek, we've recorded some episodes, put them out there for everyone to hear, and just kept on with the theme of Argumentation Nation.
Okay, well, how long did it take for you and Derek to make this podcast?
So each one, just depending on how long it is, some of them are 5-7 minutes, some of them are 20 minutes. So the recording process, 20, 30, 40 minutes, a lot of editing. The editing is probably the longest, just getting out all those ums and uhs and dead air and making sure the noise sounds in the background aren't too loud and distracting. But each week, probably about an hour or two each one throw in there. I mean, we just recorded one today too live, so that one took about an hour to edit and put together.
That's cool. So I know that you said you've had a past experience with podcasts. So how has this podcast compared or contrasted to some of the other ones you've done in your past?
Yeah, that's the ones I've done in the past were so hobby filled. They were talking about pop culture, talking about a movie that came out. It was with two other friends of mine that we started it. So that one was a little bit more, we just went with what was new. This one was a little different because it involved research. Like I had one episode we did was the history of speech and debate. So I had to do a lot of research of where that started, you know, back in the Greek and Roman times all the way to today, modern. So a lot more research involved in it, a little bit more analytical, wasn't as, you know, some of them were conversational, some of them were very research.
Okay. And then during the process of making this podcast, what did you like learn, and was there anything that like stuck to you about argumentation?
So about argumentation, yes, and again, learning about where it came from to where, you know, I don't really, didn't even think about how, you know, Greek times when they're having that even equated to argumentation nation and speech and debate and all that, but now it's like seeing the two meld together, or like even like where debate came with presidential elections, where it started with, you know, President Lincoln and back then with those. And now it's, one thing I definitely took away from is with this one, we partnered with the promotion team and the marketing team, and being a part of that was also eye-opening to have like a staff, or like a quote-unquote staff, because before it was always just me, myself, and I, and now it's, you know, I have Sophia is amazing in the marketing team, where she was really on top of like what episodes are coming out, what can we do here, what does this look like, designing the logo was a lot of fun. So it gets to show you what like a podcast as a hobby can look like as a podcast as a profession.
And then I have one last question for you. If there was someone wanting to start a podcast, is there any wise words of wisdom you'd like to give them before they start their podcast journey?
Man, I'm going to take some advice that I took from a movie director, Kevin Smith, one of my idols. Start cheap, make it your own. Don't worry about buying all the most expensive equipment and making sure all that stuff's out there. Just get in front of a mic, record yourself, and get going, because you want to do reps. You want to do, just like sports, just like speech and debate, just like anything, you want reps, so that way you can make yourself better. Dan said during our class, like the analogy of, would you rather have a class make one pottery the entire semester, or one per week and make hundreds? It's better to have those hundreds so you learn along the way instead of trying to perfect one.
Yep. And that is all I have today. First, I'd like to say thank you to Brad for joining me on this interview.
Thank you.
And then I'd also like to say thank you for our guests for tuning into Argumentation Nation. And thank you.